Yassas, everybody. It's gone cold, hasn't it? I don't know where you are at the moment, but where I am down here, 12, 11, 12 degrees, from 30, 35, 40 down to 18, 15, 12 today. The plants are really going to do it hard, especially on our property because we've got an open area here. And today we're going to be talking about protecting, again, the humble tomato plant. And we're going to show you those ones over there that I have. We're going to put some shade cloth up there to protect it from the afternoon sun. But before we do that, spotted this. If you remember a few weeks ago, I don't know how many weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago maybe, we repotted this dead looking grapefruit, and all we've given it is 2 applications of our liquid fertiliser pack, Eco Butch and Liquid Gold, and obviously the water in between. Now I've brought it over here because it gets a bit of protection from the wind, because we've got that little wall there, and that's sort of surrounding. If you've got, this is the problem I'm having with citrus trees. Now we were meant to be talking about tomatoes, but I've just fired up again because of our citrus trees being so open. And I'm sort of scratching my head thinking, I've grown so many trees in my life and I can't grow the humble lemon tree only because of where it is. It's in an open area, and we spoke about the successful growth of a citrus tree, whether it's lemon, lime, mandarin, orange. It needs good drainage, good fertilising, lots of water, but to drain away, protection from the hot and cold weather, meaning the hot winds and the cold winds. So high winds knocking about, bad drainage, bad soil, all coupled together, destroy the plant. Now that has got half decent soil. It does drain not too bad. I won't say that's the problem, but because we've got the high winds, and look at me, I'm dressed like it's middle of winter here, those trees are struggling. This one here, a little bit closer. Now I've been extra watering it and it hasn't had a liquid fertiliser. It's missed on this recent application. That's why it's yellowed. And I've got potatoes. Now I didn't plant potatoes under my citrus tree. Somehow a potato landed there, it's germinated. We've got potatoes now growing at the base. For the life of me, I don't know how I'm going to dig them up without disturbing, if anything, the root system of the citrus tree. But that's another topic. Anyway, let's get back to the main topic, which are tomatoes. And as far as the citrus trees are concerned, give them protection, liquid feed them, and they'll love you for it. Make sure they're not sitting in wet feed, and that isn't. All right, let's go. Over here, this is my worst garden bed. Well, actually, I've got a lot of bad garden beds, and I'm not ashamed to share them with you. These are the challenges, and we've spoken about it in the past. We've got a row of native trees. Their root system, 25, 30 metres up in the sky, will travel out to down here. So they will travel all the way through here. Now, not so much just shallow in the surface, about 30 centimetres below, but this is what's happening on that side. Now, I've been talking with the team here. What we're going to do is a trial, because we've got a garden bed going there, a raised garden bed, and all slowly we need to understand this climate that we have here, our microclimate, and we know that's the harshest area. So what I mean by harsh, it gets very little morning sun, because by the time the sun comes over the top, it's midday or 11 o'clock before that shines, and that's the last area for the sun to go down on. So that is still about 6:30, 7 o'clock, now we're overcast, and that is still shining in the sun, direct sunlight, late afternoon. So the roots of the trees are sucking the moisture out of the ground, even though we've trenched it here. And that's great if you want to stop the weeds growing in, but it also causes a lot of airflow. So we're talking about all this stuff here. This stuff here, see that there? Look how dry it is, just below the surface. See the dark moisture on top? We've got moisture on top, dry as a bone down below because it's exposed. So we're not protecting the soil or the microbes or the bacteria that we want to live and harvest and feed and protect. We're actually exposing it, so these beds are struggling. So we are, no doubtedly, we're going to raise these beds and build them a little bit higher, because these plants are also competing with the moisture being sucked out of the ground by these trees. Now, I'm not going to take the trees out, I'm going to leave them in. But what I'm going to do is irrigate that side of this garden bed. I actually am going to lay it down and spend a little bit of money on water to see if I can hydrate that side and bring it to life and see what effect it has on this garden bed, because this garden bed gets watered at least twice a day. Even like today, overcast, I came out here and watered. We had rain about a day and a half ago. No other beds been watered. They haven't been touched nowhere on the property. This bed here had to be watered again. You can see the spring onions have gone to seed. We're going to collect those. We cut back all our lettuce plants. I doubt if they come good again, because I think they're going to be very bitter when they re-emerge, if they can at all. Our chicory and the radicchios are perfect. They're growing beautifully. We've got some pelargoniums in the middle for scented. Struggling. planted the same time, and I'm giving you the scenarios to see the comparisons. Right to this side, silver beet again. They were as white as a ghost because of the heavy moisture, because this wasn't draining well. We liquid fed these, and you can see even my beans. Look, how proud am I, eh? And you want to talk about beans and show me your 7 foot and 8 foot beans, eh, Bruno? These are dwarf beans. No, they're not. They're actually meant to be big beans, but they're just taking forever to grow. Our weather's cold, so we are at least a month and a half behind. But silver beet, nice dark green leaves, couple of feeds of EK Butch. If you haven't tried the stuff, give it a go. Ask your friends who have. We've got a lot of posts, people sharing their examples of with and without. It's chalk and cheese when you liquid fertilise. There are other challenges in the garden, so don't think that by just using EK Butch and Liquid Gold, all your problems are solved. No, they're not going to be solved. They are going to give your plants a fighting chance, as these ones here. You can see the capsicums and the beans are coming good, considering this soil's really bad. But when you've got problems like this with underlying problems of roots from major trees drying it out, you can see how much smaller the silver beet is. Same batch. Exactly the same batch, and it's struggling. That causes stress on the plants, and what happens is it goes to flower. So it may not be excessive potash in the soil which causes plants to flower profusely. It can be pretty much just stress on the plant. Dehydration, too quickly competing against larger trees, so it pushes on its flowers, not just silver beet, any sort of plant, to seed off and produce an afterlife, you know, the next row of plants. Again, silver beet struggling. Look at that. Heavy watering. Now all this is going to get liquid fed, and that big strong burst of rain we had, that one day of 55, 60 mil of rain, these tomatoes actually survived because we had that heat stress, a little bit of burning down there. But again, planted around about the same time. The other ones are jumping out of the ground. These ones, even from previous years, have always struggled in this bed. We've added our compost, our manures, but again, hydration. No water, no growth. No bacteria, no good, no bad. If it's dry, it's dry. So you can't expect your plants to grow when the water isn't there available for them when they need it, for the microbes to grow and breed and break down the organic matter and the plants to grow. So hydration is the key, also protection. So we're not going to raise the bed now because that costs a lot of money. We're going to irrigate that in the next week or two because we've still got at least a month or 2 months of hot weather, and I'm going to trial it out. But what we're also going to do here is what we did over there with the insect netting. You can see that one there. Now those tomatoes, only 3 days up that we've had it or thereabout, they've already shown a result. The actual luscious green leaves on top, they're not copping a beating, they're not burning up. As soon as the new leaf comes out, it dies off. It's not a virus, it's soil borne because of the moisture and the heat from the sun rays. Sunburn, no sun protection, your plants will die. So what we're going to do here, it was meant to be a short segment, folks, by the way. We're going to put a bit of shade cloth across this side here, nail it to the side here, and then we're going to irrigate it. We're going to water it, which I've already done that, but what we do after that, we're going to liquid fertilize it. And the last thing before I start working here is, if you're going to hydrate your garden because it's thirsty, hydrate it. But if you're going to use a liquid fertilizer, hydrate the garden bed first with normal water, get the moisture in, open up the pores, get the absorption working again, and then go back and add your EK Butch and Liquid Gold. Because a lot of questions come through, how much EK Butch and Liquid Gold do I add to a particular plant? Tomato, chicory, basil. I can't answer that question. I don't know how much water your garden bed needs. As far as hydrating your garden, you've got to add water until it's hydrated. If you want to do it with a liquid fertilizer, by all means, knock yourself out. Put on 10, 20, 30 litres if you need to hydrate that particular bed, or hydrate it with water, then go back and top it up with about a litre or so of the liquid fertilizer per plant, thereabouts. Not to hydrate the plant, but to fertilise the microbes in the soil. And that's a nice way of doing it, so you're not wasting too much of the liquid fertilisers. For me, I just pour it on wherever I can, but I do hydrate as well, obviously, but I use it as often as I can, which is probably once a month at the moment. Hey, Cara, I should be putting more on? That's the problem I have. I practice half of what I preach, and if I practice everything I preached, it'd be like Marie Auntie's garden. I'm envious of that one. That's doing a good job too. All right, let's get into it. Shade cloth. I'm not a lollipop. Stop licking my hands. I'm using, I think this is 50% shade green. That's what I had in the shed. So I'm going to nail that onto the top there with a staple gun, and then just simply unroll it. All we're trying to do is reduce the amount of direct sunlight on these plants, especially the afternoon sun. And by the way, anybody turn around and say, shade cloth, tomatoes, seriously, if they're the sort of comments you want to give me, seriously, folks, if you don't know what's going on in my garden, don't make comments like that, because really every garden is different. Every micro or macro climate, whatever you want to call it, varies. I've grown in major gardens, I've grown in small courtyards, and this is one garden bed that is always struggling. And if we need to put shade cloth, we put shade cloth. And I've been to some of the best gardens around Australia that use shade cloth, bird netting or whatever it is. A little bit of protection is good. Yeah, so, you know, you got to understand each other's gardens and respect that. That's what we do. That's what we do as gardeners. And once we've done that, bit of a feed. Like I said, water your plants first and then liquid fertilise them if the ground's dry. And let's see how these plants go. Now I did run out of shade cloth, so folks, I'm going to go and get some more and finish this off. Nice and simple. If it's a real hot spot in your garden, protect it. Don't just fertilise and extra watering, protect it. Reduce the amount of sunlight, direct sunlight on them, bit of shade cloth, it'll protect your plants. Check out our website, vasilisgarden.com, for our Eco Butch and Liquid Gold specials. They're all there for you at vasilisgarden.com. From me, Vasily, Adesi.